Hello there, I'm Lloyd Evans and you're watching the John Cedars channel from The Bunker, and in this video we absolutely must talk about IICSA, the independent inquiry into child sexual abuse. This is a huge deal. I've spoken about it before on the channel in a video that I am now calling Part 1. This is Part 2. I must open with a massive disclaimer, which is that I am a core participant for IICSA. A core participant is someone who, rather than simply giving evidence, also assists the inquiry and kind of is more involved behind the scenes in recommending questions for the inquiry to ask of certain key witnesses. So I've been involved as a core participant now for a number of months, and as a result of my involvement, I am very limited in what I can talk about. So I know an awful lot about this that you're just not going to hear, at least not yet, not until I'm allowed to say it. Now, having said all that, there is a lot that I can finally talk about, because yesterday the timetable for IICSA was announced. Now, just let me back up a little bit and explain what IICSA is. So, IICSA, again, it's the Independent Inquiry into Child Sexual Abuse. You can think of it, if you like, as the England and Wales equivalent of the Australian Royal Commission. But there's a massive difference between the Australian Royal Commission's approach to Jehovah's Witnesses and IICSA's approach to Jehovah's Witnesses. IICSA has been focusing mainly on larger institutions in England and Wales, and in the case of religions, it's been focusing very keenly on religions like the Catholic Church and the Church of England, and it's devoted a lot of time to exploring those particular larger mainstream religions in quite a lot of detail. When it comes to Jehovah's Witnesses, the approach is not anywhere near as in-depth as the Australian Royal Commission was able to take, because the Australian Royal Commission identified from the outset that Jehovah's Witnesses needed their own investigation, and they devoted, I think, a couple of years to putting together all of the information, so that when the hearings finally happened, they already knew the organisation inside out, forwards and backwards. And that really showed when you watched the hearings. With IICSA, it's kind of different. They had a truth project where they asked a number of child sex abuse survivors to come forward, and as a result of that endeavour, they discovered that Jehovah's Witnesses, despite being such a comparatively small religion in England and Wales, nevertheless accounted for the third most cited religion out of all of those who participated, which was quite phenomenal. And maybe this, along with other factors, prompted IICSA to revisit discluding Jehovah's Witnesses from the process. So what they actually ended up doing was saying, okay, we're going to look into Jehovah's Witnesses, but we're going to do it along with a whole range of other non-mainstream religious organizations, or religious organizations that don't fall neatly into the sort of mainstream interpretation of Christianity. So the hearings are going to take place, or will be taking place, over the course of 2 weeks. I say 2 weeks, we're talking 10 days, Monday to Friday 1 week and Monday to Friday the following week. But those 10 days are for all of the religions. So you have Judaism, you have Islam, I think, you have Salvation Army, you have Baptist, you have a number of different, sometimes quite niche organizations, religious organizations that are being explored in these hearings, but nevertheless, Jehovah's Witnesses will take up one full day of hearings. So whereas the ARC happened over a number of days, Jehovah's Witnesses get just one day for IICSA for England and Wales, and that is happening next week. Now, as I mentioned, the timetable was announced yesterday, and you'll see here that on Thursday, the 19th of March, with a 10 o'clock start, you have in the morning PRA5 and Sarah Davies and Duncan Corbett, ex-JW advocates opposing crimes against children, and you also have there yours truly. So I'm not sure how much I can say about PRA5 other than that it is to do with Jehovah's Witnesses. So we will find out more about that on the day. Following PRA5, I'm going to be giving oral evidence at the same time as Sarah Davies and Duncan Corbett, meaning that we will all be, I guess you could say, on the stand together, answering questions that are going to be put to us by the inquiry. Once that's done, there'll be a lunch break, and in the afternoon you'll see there that the representative for the Christian congregation of Jehovah's Witnesses is Paul Gillies. Now, for some of you, that name will ring a bell. Some of you will know who Paul Gillies is. Others perhaps won't know who Paul Gillies is. So for those of you who don't know who Paul Gillies is, I have put together this brief clip from the 2018 annual meeting of Jehovah's Witnesses.
But now let me ask you this. Do you know what OPI stands for? You'll find out, and a lot more, in the following report, which will be given by Brother Paul Gillies, who serves as the overseer of OPI.
Ecclesiastes 12 verse 10 says, "The congregator sought to find delightful words and to record accurate words of truth." In harmony with this principle, the Office of Public Information, OPI, at World Headquarters has over the years been assigned by the governing body to convey accurate information to the news media and academics. But as Satan intensifies his slanderous attacks on Jehovah's people and opposers feed authorities with twisted and distorted statements about us, OPI's assignment now includes conveying accurate words of truth to government officials.
So it will be interesting to see just how much this footage of Paul Gillies, taken again from the 2018 annual meeting, go back and watch my rebuttal to said meeting if you want to hear more about what I've got to say about this specific talk. But it will be interesting to see to what extent, if any, Paul Gillies' words about accurate words of truth come back to haunt him after he has appeared before IICSA. Because I don't think it's unfair to say, based on what we know about Watchtower's track record in representing itself before courts, before government commissions, it doesn't have a very good track record when it comes to accurate words of truth. And I have in fact made a video along these lines explaining how, or giving actual video examples of how Watchtower representatives, when placed in a position where they need to make the organisation look good, have resorted to, how can I put it, a very creative interpretation of the facts. So I don't want to second guess Paul Gillies or preempt what he will or won't say. I extend the benefit of the doubt and hope that he is able to give an accurate and honest representation of Jehovah's Witness beliefs. And I am certainly fascinated to see how he responds to the inquiry's questions. But yes, what a fascinating day we have set up. Now, I mentioned before that I am a core participant. There is actually another core participant which comes in the form of a group of ex-JW activists and advocates, which I mentioned there on the timetable. And I will be, again, sharing the stand, if you will. I don't know whether that's the accurate IICSA parlance, but I will be sharing the stand with two representatives of that group. So I'm a core participant, they're a core participant, and you could say that the third core participant is the Christian Congregation of Jehovah's Witnesses, which is being, again, represented by Paul Gillies, who we've just seen is the overseer of the Office of Public Information. He literally shares an office complex with the governing body. So I'm personally delighted that he has come forward to assist the inquiry. I can't imagine realistically a more senior figure. I mean, more senior to Paul Gillies, and you have the helpers to the governing body and the governing body members themselves. And it would have been perhaps a bit unrealistic to expect either a governing body helper or a governing body member to give evidence. So again, I'm very happy that Paul Gillies is giving evidence. I should probably just mention as well that I am being represented legally by Richard Scorer, who is a fantastically talented lawyer who has done a great deal of work in the area of child sex abuse advocacy. There is also representing the ex-JW Advocates Opposing Crimes Against Children group, Samuel Barker, who again is a very talented lawyer, I think from Australia. I've met Samuel, he's a wonderful guy, again very well briefed on Jehovah's Witness issues. And the lawyer for Paul Gillies is a Mr. Shane Brady. And if you follow the Watchtower Infocus episodes, that name should ring a bell, because Shane Brady popped up in the Netherlands to try to silence the Utrecht University report into child sexual abuse among Jehovah's Witnesses in the Netherlands. So he has form in representing the organisation and trying to get them out of a pickle. And so Shane Brady will be there on Thursday, the 19th of March, again, as the legal representation for Paul Gillies. Now, I should also mention that both Richard Scorer and, I'm assuming, Samuel Barker, and I'm assuming Shane Brady, I don't know for sure, will be, I assume, giving evidence. Again, I'm trying to be so careful with what I say. I don't want to annoy anyone. But on Monday, the 16th of March, you will see there that there are opening statements. Counsel to the inquiry, that's the inquiry's lawyer, who I think will be doing most of the questioning of witnesses and core participants. And then you have counsel for core participants. So all of the lawyers, basically, who are representing core participants. I don't know whether it is all of the lawyers, but I would expect at least a few. Certainly Richard Scorer, because he is representing a number of different core participants aside from Jehovah's Witnesses. So it will be interesting to see what the opening statements are in relation to Jehovah's Witnesses on the Monday. And I probably should have mentioned that the inquiry is going to be live streamed. So you should, in theory, be able to watch it online, I think on YouTube. I'm not completely sure yet. But there will be video footage of both the opening statements on Monday, March 16th, which, gosh, is just a couple of days away as I make this video. And then there will obviously be live streamed footage of myself, PRA5, Sarah Davies, Duncan Corbett, and Paul Gillies on Thursday the 19th of March. So we are in for quite an interesting experience when all of this goes down in London. There has been, and this is something I've been trying to avoid discussing, but I simply cannot avoid discussing it. There's a certain plague that's doing the rounds. Actually, I might as well name it because this video is totally going to be demonetized anyway. The coronavirus, obviously, is now at pandemic proportions, and I am still not 100% sure whether we will get to Thursday. I mean, presumably we will. Everything I've heard so far indicates that everything is going ahead. So I will be flying out to London, and I will be there on the Thursday. It's rather interesting for me because Deanna and I have been monitoring the situation in terms of the travel restrictions. Bear in mind, I live in Croatia, and there are indeed travel restrictions of a kind, because even though I'm allowed to fly to the UK, when I come back, I have to self-quarantine. So we've already figured this out, how it would work. I'm essentially going to be stuck in the bunker for 2 weeks because I'm going to London, and London is deemed by the Croatian authorities to be of higher risk than Croatia. So because of that, when I come back from IICSA, I'm going to be, as things stand, unless anything changes, I'm going to be stuck in the bunker for 2 weeks. But it's a price worth paying as far as I'm concerned. And again, you will hopefully find out in the coming days or weeks exactly how much work has gone in to IICSA and exactly why I am so passionate about being there and being in the same room as Paul Gillies. I said to my lawyer, wild horses couldn't keep me away from this. It would require, I don't know, my flight being cancelled and an actual government restriction on travel for me to not be there. If it's physically possible, I will be in that room on Thursday, March 19th. There is some doubt at this stage as to whether Javier Ortiz, my colleague who is working with me on the Truth About the Truth documentary, there's some doubt as to whether he can make it at this point. It's all, again, up in the air. It's all very uncertain because he was supposed to be coming with a cameraman, and we were going to kind of shoehorn IICSA into our Truth About the Truth project. Now that's up in the air thanks to coronavirus, so we'll have to see how that pans out. Another thing that we have planned is that coincidentally on March 19th there is a Watchtower Infocus live event in London, which I guess can now be devoted to going over the day's events. So the event will be at 7 p.m. and I'm going to put a link here in case you are interested. Now, I realise lots of you will be saying, what are you talking about, Lloyd? There is a pandemic, and here you are promoting an event that people can attend. Surely people should be cowering in their homes, trying to see out the apocalypse. Well, I have actually asked questions of those on the ground in London, as it were, and apparently panic has not yet reached that level where events of the kind that I have planned are being cancelled. And look, the approach I'm taking is this. I don't expect everyone to be able to make it to the Watchtower in Focus event. And if anybody wants to buy a ticket to the event, they should do so knowing that if they at any point want a refund, up to obviously when the event starts, it will be given no questions asked. So that's my policy. And we also are making tickets to £25. We are also making a number of subsidized tickets available for those who are on low income. So if you're in London and you really want to go to the event, don't feel like you can't. Email JW Survey and we'll see if we can help you get to the event. Don't let the ticket price be an object. So that, I think, is everything. It's going to be a very interesting week next week. I'm still not completely sure what it's going to look like. And I'm certainly not looking forward to 14 days of quarantine on my return. But hey, life's too short. These are important issues. This is literally a matter of dealing with an organization where children are not being protected. So I consider a little bit of inconvenience on my part a very small price to pay. But that's all I have to share with you. There will be more videos in this particular series on IICSA, so look out for them in the near future. But that's about everything. Don't forget to subscribe to the John Cedars channel for more such videos. And as always, thank you for watching.